stuff. How's Finch doing? And status update on Coach.
Yeah, I think that they're evaluating him now. We don't know anything for sure. Obviously, took a hit to his lower leg, kind of like hockey, right? Lower body injury. But they're looking at him now. It was great, though. The whole team went down to the medical room, and he's obviously in good spirits, and so are the guys. So,
what was it like, kind of handling all that in the moment, and you're taking over in the final 2 minutes of a playoff series win?
Well, I think that I did much better than I did in Cleveland when I took over. So I was able to think maybe I'm a 2-minute coach that way. But at the end of the day, I think that everything's like with the way Finchy does things and the way that we've done things all season long. Just everybody has their roles. Everybody just kind of has each other back, if you will. I know it sounds cliche-ish and corny, but it's just next man up, even with the coaching staff. Pablo, Kevin Hansen, E.T., all those guys were great. And just, with the subs, offense, defense, and keeping alert with the timeout. So it was kind of I would never say business as usual because Finchy does a phenomenal job of just trying to carry over what he's been doing.
Just what is this moment like for you guys as a team? 3 years in a row coming to the playoffs, first playoff victory for kind of this group. Just what is this moment like for you guys?
Well, I think it's the next step, and I think that what it does is I understand it's just one series win. You don't want to overblow it, but it's the next step, then the next step in the progression for all of our guys. I mean, you're here for 2 years in a row. This year, no playing game. You're in solid as a 3 seed against a team that beat you 3 times in the regular season, and to come out and to win 4 straight is a tribute to the guys and obviously to Finchy and the staff.
Micah, this game kind of took on a different shape with some foul trouble to Rudy. They played a lot smaller, more often. What was that just kind of like navigating, particularly their smaller look in this game and still coming out on top?
Yeah, for sure. I think that obviously the foul trouble that Rudy got in kind of took the decision out of our hands as far as if we had to go small, because we did, essentially because of his foul trouble. But we knew that they would try some different things. Obviously, their staff, they're very well prepared. They're a very good team. So just they tried to mix up the matchups to make us have to adjust as well. I think in the first half, you had to feel good going into halftime when we were 4 for 18, I think, from the three-point line. Obviously, Booker and Durant had it going. They're shooting 50% from the floor, 50% from 3, and 90% from the free throw line, and it's a 5-point game. So the thing that Finchy just kept telling him at halftime was, look, stay the course. On the offensive side, we were getting great looks, and I think we went the second half 11 for 18. So just keeps getting the good shots that we were getting there. And then at the defensive end, we had to get back into the game plan, like just what we were trying to do as far as we got beat on a couple back cuts. There was a little bit of slippage on some communication as far as some switches and switch groups that we had. But to the guys, and obviously Kat and Anthony in that second half, they really just stepped up and carried us.
Micah, the late game offense has been a struggle for a lot of this season. Tonight, really good. Was that a product of getting a different coach in there, or is that a product of Ant and just kind of his playmaking and how he's evolved over the last month?
I think that it's a little bit of both. Not on my side. No, believe me. I'm not saying the coaching side, but I'm saying it's more Mike and Rudy have always been that calming presence. But when you have Anthony Edwards with that look in his eye and that determination and just going downhill instead of just settling when he gets the switch on for jumpers. But when he's playing in attack mode and playing downhill, he's a problem. And I think that, again, that group you could feel it. Like they just were not going to be denied going into that fourth quarter. I think we were down 2, and they just were like, hey, let's put this thing away.
KD and Booker were rolling. Closeout games are so tough, and I think scored like 31 in the second half. Like, what? Probably say a lot about him, but what can you say just about what he was able to do tonight to put this thing to bed?
Well, I think that all of us have seen him all year when he has one of those first halves or whatever it may be that he doesn't really go on one of those runs. You kind of know that it's coming. And obviously it came at a great time tonight, and I think he made those first couple of threes in a row that really kind of got him back in rhythm and kind of had them on their heels as far as because they've been putting 2 on him the whole game and the whole series for the most part. But once he got it going, and then he was still doing a phenomenal job of keeping guys involved with the kickouts. I mean, Nas some big threes, Nikhil with some big shots, and Jaden McDaniels. So even though he was making the right play, but when he gets downhill and he's in attack mode, I just hate to keep saying it, but he's the problem.
When you have Rudy and Mike in foul trouble, but then they come out rested for the fourth quarter, then in some respects, I mean, it was a toss-up game at that point anyway. You had to feel pretty confident.
Yeah, very much so. And I think the other thing that we kept saying was, and they had to, and a tribute to those two guys, but KD and Booker, we just kept saying, just keep wearing on them, keep picking them up full court, keep bumping them, keep hitting them, and hopefully that they would wear down a little bit, even if it's on the defense, if they're a step slow in rotations or even on the ball and that type of thing. But the fact that I think going into the fourth quarter, Rudy had only played about 14 minutes because of the foul trouble, and you had him fresh in all series, we have seen it. Not that he's blocking shots, but he's a huge deterrent when they go in there. And then, guys are flying around and covering for each other. But to have Rudy fresh for that fourth quarter stretch is obviously was key.
What's the biggest difference in Anthony from last year to this year?
I think if anything, it's just another year of seeing it. And I think that each year as a young kid, he's 22 years old, and as you go through it, I think every year everything starts to slow down. And what I mean is, they always have put two on him at times, and he was kind of just, now he's constantly making the right play. And I think as things slow down, he sees where he's open from. He does a lot of film work with all the coaches, his PD guys, and Pablo and C. Hines, and they help him, but just showing him where those plays are. So I think of it, a lot of it is that experience. But I think the other thing is, too, that he kind of knows that I think that the USA basketball was good for him to be around that level of competition all summer and to continue to play. So at the end of the day, I think it's his experience being around Mike, Rudy, Carl, pros, and those type of guys have continued to talk to him and help him. But he's making the right play, and he's got that it factor.
And to follow up with that, I don't obviously get to see him every day, but it seems like he's, for a guy who has such a big personality, he's even more comfortable in his own skin. And you look in the third quarter, just him talking to guys. Again, I think Cat picked up a foul and he really got into him. Do you see that? Like, is a guy that with that bigger personality feeling even more comfortable with who he is, not even just on this team, but his status as a player too?
For sure, and I think the one thing about Ant, he's become more of a vocal leader, but he's also one of those guys that, he puts in the work, so guys see him working, so they trust him there that he's doing the work. But the other thing is, he is a good person, and what I mean by that, they trust him. He's got some self-humor. You've seen all of his interviews. He's the first one to congratulate and move the all of his glory or whatever over to his teammates. So they all like him. But when he plays and makes the right play, and they know he cares not only about himself but the team, he's really done a good job of stepping up in that regard. Yeah.
Micah, kind of going off what Britt was saying a moment ago, even though Rudy got the rest of the third quarter, you had to play a lot of it without him, but you guys still won the quarter. What did you see from the rest of the team when your defensive anchor is off the floor? How were you still able to be actively defensively and still win that quarter without him playing?
Yeah, I think the big thing that we talked about with Rudy not on there is the fact that teams all year, when Rudy's off the floor, that's when they look to attack the paint. And so it happens with ball pressure on the point of attack, not getting beat on the first dribble, to making them go east to west, and then just making sure that we do have a low man down there, whether that be, Kyle when he was in there, Carl was down there, and Nas as well. So the point of emphasis was make sure we're strong on the ball, no blow-bys, and then obviously have a low man. So there's another body. It's not the same paint protection, obviously, that we give with Rudy, but to force the kickouts. And then the one advantage that we did have being smaller was we were able to fly around. Our rotations were very, very clean, and they weren't getting many good looks, especially from the three.
Awesome. Thanks, Micah.
All right. Thank you all.
Carl and Ann.